I often say that I don't watch Fox News because it's like drinking from a toilet, but I must amend that statement to sometimes I do watch Fox News for the pure entertainment value of watching someone else drink out of a toilet. And that is exactly what happened today, as Harris Faulkner was pearl clutching over these pro-Palestinian protesters that are occupying Trump Tower in New York City, or as Fox News and Donald Trump have labeled these peaceful protesters, who are Jewish, by the way.
The group behind this protest is Jewish Voice for Peace. They're demanding the Trump administration release Mahmoud Khalil from ICE detention.
Domestic terrorists.
Now, some of it has not looked like protected speech or protests. It's looked more violent than that, as people have pressed physically against NYPD officers in this city.
Oh, that's funny, Faulkner. I don't recall this level of pearl clutching and lying about the fake patriots that stormed the Capitol and killed a Capitol police officer, but maybe I'm missing something. So let's take a deeper look at these protests, what's going on, what they're about, and specifically how Fox and fascist friends, aka the propaganda network, aka the network of toilet drinkers, is covering it. Now, is that punching down because every Fox host is a crisis actor who had to lick the balls of Roger Ailes and Rupert Murdoch to get their job? I don't think so, but you let me know your thoughts in the comments, and while you're there, drop a like and subscribe, and let's get into it, folks. And let's start with the Occupy movement being so back, baby, to Fox's utter chagrin.
Protesters in New York City have found a new favorite address, and they are occupying not just the streets outside, which you can see this is a chopper shot that we cannot take control over. So we wish that this helicopter would pull out.
Yeah, Harris really wants the helicopter to pull out, and I wish Trump's father did.
Because you'll see people at the top of the screen beyond our banners. There are many of them. Some of them have made their way into occupying the lobby at Trump Tower. This is in protest of the arrest and detainment of Mahmoud Khalil. Remember, he is a graduate student who was on the campus of Columbia University professing hate. We know that he was a very high-profile face, along with groups on that campus who are pro-Hamas on Columbia. And when ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, picked him up, the protesting began. Now, some of it has not looked like protected speech or protests. It's looked more violent than that.
I'm telling you, if Pence cave, we're going to drag through the streets. You politicians are going to get drugged through the streets.
Bring out Pence!
Bring out Pence!
Bring out Pence!
But what Faulkner refuses to talk about in all of her upcoming pearl clutching and regurgitation of the Fox News propaganda toilet water is that these protests are being organized and live streamed by the organization Jewish Voice for Peace, with some of the signs reading "Fight Nazis, not students," "Free Mahmoud, Free Palestine," and "You can't deport a movement." Here is a picture. Demonstrators from the group Jewish Voice for Peace protest inside Trump Tower. And the group's spokesperson, Sonia Meyerson-Knox, told NBC News, quote, "My grandmother lost her cousins in the Holocaust. I grew up on these stories. We know what happens when authoritarian regimes begin targeting people, begin abducting them at night, which we'll see, separating their families and scapegoating. And we know that it's one step from here to losing all right to protest, and then further horrors happening, as we've seen all too well in our history. Case in point, before we get to the utter irony of more of Faulkner's fascist fuckery.
We have more breaking news, and we're going to take you live inside of Trump Tower. This is in Midtown Manhattan, short distance from where I am. You can see that police have been clearing protesters. They've been taking them up the escalators, their hands behind their back. They had been staging a sit-in over the case of a prominent Palestinian activist and green card holder who was detained by ICE for his role in Gaza protests last year at Columbia University. The group behind this protest is Jewish Voice for Peace.
Right, and here for juxtaposition is Faulkner's take on these protests that you might notice is lacking some pretty key information.
Let's watch the video now. This is what happened inside. And can you hear them chanting? Listen carefully as we go to that. Free Mahmoud, free them all.
Free Mahmoud, free them all! Free Mahmoud, free them all! Free Mahmoud, free them all!
So you hear them chanting, "Free Mahmoud, free them all." I'm wondering, Ari, who are they all? And if the world is watching our nation right now, and they know us as a bastion of free speech, so on and so forth, when you hate, when people feel under threat because of what you're saying, that's actually not protected speech.
That's right.
And look at some of the signage in here. I mean, they hate Israel. They hate Jewish Americans. They are anti-American.
That is Faulkner's whole segment on this matter. Not once do you hear mention of who the protesters are and who the organizers were, but instead she rails against the protests and the freedom of speech and freedom of expression that they represent. I don't know what is more sad, the fact that Faulkner is calling these people anti-American, throwing fascist tropes at them, and not even acknowledging the fact that these are Jewish protesters holding signs on the literal Fox footage itself that says opposing fascism is a Jewish tradition, or that there are Fox News viewers swallowing her toilet water dribble hook, line, and sinker. Because regardless what you think of the protests or even Mahmoud's speech that sparked the controversy in the first place, it is clear that the real fascists here are the ones trying to rip away people's rights and the rule of law by deporting this man in the manner they are doing it.
The former Columbia University student's weekend arrest coming after months of being the face of discontent on campus. He was among those organizing and speaking to the media when students pitched tents and refused to leave after the Israel-Hamas war broke out. On Saturday, federal agents took Khalil into custody from his student housing apartment. His attorney telling News 4 that Khalil is a permanent resident and green card holder.
We are going to eradicate anti-Semitic behavior.
President Donald Trump echoing the same sentiment on social media, saying more arrests are coming, writing, "We will find, apprehend, and deport these terrorist sympathizers from our country, never to return again." Khalil was originally taken into federal custody to a facility in New Jersey. His 8-month pregnant wife, who is an American citizen, went to visit him, only to learn he was no longer there. ICE confirms that he's currently in Louisiana at the Jana LaSalle detention facility, the database listing his home country of birth as Syria. Meanwhile, his attorneys are working to free him, and they're stressing he is not charged with a crime. The Department of Homeland Security's lawless decision to arrest him solely because of his peaceful anti-genocide activism represents a blatant attack on the First Amendment's guarantee to free speech, immigration laws, and the very humanity of Palestinians. This development coming on the heels of the Trump administration clawing back $400 million in grants to Columbia University because of its treatment of Jewish students on campus.
I was intending to do research here over the summer in the mechanical engineering department, so now I probably won't be able to get funding.
And I know this started out as a light roast of Fox News, but what they are doing is nothing short of propping up an authoritarian regime via propaganda. Folks, Fox News is the ministry of truth, and if we do not call them out and expose their lies and mistruths on a regular basis, then we will likely end up in George Orwell's 1984, or even worse, Germany in 1944. Thank you for watching. Drop a like and subscribe to join the fake news fascist propaganda machine fighting team. And for Really American, I'm Kenny Hesse, and I'll see you in the next one.